I'm aware that it's a pet peeve of mine. Like, maybe it's just me, but whenever I instruct an AI to help me write something, I always instruct, do not use the apostrophe sentence structure. I really want to get it out of the way. I think it's super default, super standard. Everyone's doing it. So I don't even care that it's because of AI per se, but I'm more concerned that we are kind of live now. This is what I always wanted to say. We are live.
And we're officially live.
We are officially live, exactly. I mean, this is just an experiment.
Right, Nick? Let's jump into it. What do we have today?
Well, today is going to be very special. We're going to help one of our listeners named Lorik. So hopefully you're listening to this, Lorik. Welcome. I mean, he's in a situation like many designers are, like struggling to find an internship or their first job. And he sent over a bunch of his work and his LinkedIn profile, etc., etc. And he's asking for help, like what to do. And then a bunch of other questions. So we're going to help him today in this episode. See if we can give him some examples and some very solid advice to help him move forward. Interesting to know, he lives in Kosovo. That's a place in Europe, Eastern Europe, if memory serves me well. And he's also wondering, how to relocate and that kind of stuff. But that's, for the next episode. So, Tyler, what anything jumps to mind for you if you are thinking about a Eastern Europe, design graduate looking to get hired? Like, any must-dos, anything you can think of?
Yeah. Well, hi, Lorik. I'm excited to jump onto this challenge. Right. So just to read that back. So he's looking to relocate and he's a recent graduate, correct?
Yes.
So that's an interesting one because sometimes I'm not familiar with Kosovo specifically, but I imagine one friction layer you'd have to get past is if there is a cultural difference in terms of how products are designed from place to place. So the first place I'd probably investigate is I would do some research on the designers that live specifically where he's looking to relocate, taking a look at what they're doing, what their projects look like, the communication style, so like the copy within their portfolios, and see if there's any differences that you can kind of pick up between the Kosovo style versus where he's planning to relocate, like a first layer, because that could be also a barrier. Like, what are the differences so you can set yourself up for success? Curious what you think about that first step.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I didn't think of that yet. But that's very interesting. More on the relocating bit in advice in the second episode, so the one after this one. But I'm just to stick to it a little bit. That will help him. Is we should talk about language, I guess. Because he speaks English quite well.
Okay.
I found in his email, so that's really helpful. And well, actually, that's more for the second episode. Now that I think of it, because that's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that we can give. One thing I did notice for him is that he doesn't have a portfolio yet. He does have quite a few Figma files that he shares and some text files, which makes me think of that discussion that happened recently on LinkedIn. Can a Figma file or Figma site or a Figma presentation, can that serve as a professional portfolio? Or does he need his own custom domain with a website attached to it?
I'm on the fence on that one. I've seen, like, my gut instinct is get yourself a website, just additional SEO layer. People can find you. It's something to link to. But I've seen some really good Figma only portfolios done in a very crafty way. So less of a typical, here's my work, click, here's a little slideshow.
Yeah.
It's more of like I remember someone creating like this journey. So like it was a clickable prototype that would bring you to different places, contextual to the different hotspots that you would click. And then it would also navigate you to the actual Figma file. So not in presentation mode, but the actual edit screen. So you can dive into how they set up their layers, check out the different Post-it notes that were annotating the different works they were doing. It like that's a good example of like crafting or leveraging Figma to create a very dynamic like portfolio experience. So My answer might be yes and no.
Like a true designer, it depends.
Let me pick an answer. But I'd prefer a website as your portfolio piece.
Yeah.
There's more things you could do around lead capture, linking to a Calendly thing. There's more dynamicism in terms of like you can use it as a Swiss Army knife. There's more things you can do with a website versus a Figma presentation.
Yeah, I think that's true. And as far as I know, or at the time of this recording at least, if you open a Figma file, it struggles on mobile. Okay, so yes, so you see that too, and also it takes a while to load, and you have to be very yeah. I mean
yes,
that's it.
yes.
So you have to be very specific, and you have to really make sure your file is lightweight, and it doesn't just load the file, but it also loads the specific frame where you want people to start. I mean, you can select a frame, then click share, and then the link will take you to that specific frame. That kind of stuff. You have to be super certain that that is what is going to happen. And
Yes.
what you're saying about it works, but not in every situation. Maybe a recruiter is on a train somewhere or public transport in general, and then they have mail on their phone. They see your application, they click on your link on their phone, and then they're like, "Oof, this is slow. This is hard to read. It's not responsive." And then I hate to say it, but then you're out already,
Yeah.
So maybe it's a hybrid solution. You have a website and it's fine to link from your website to a Figma file. Or like we discussed last time, create a video where you go over a Figma file and perhaps link to a Figma file in your comments or below the video or whatever.
I think when you mentioned the loading time, my blood pressure increased ever so slightly. I think that might be the crux of it. I think there is a hybrid strategy or a stepped approach. So number one, the same way you optimize images for web, you can do the same within Figma. So I don't know if you've seen some of the plugins where you can reduce the size of images within your Figma file. It's more relevant when files get quite large.
Yeah.
But you want to optimize your portfolio or Figma portfolio for the best outcome, and loading is not something that you want.
True.
It frustrates me, and it most likely will frustrate the hiring manager.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So the strategy might be, if you're crunched for time and you're eager to get the ball rolling, I would suggest starting off your portfolio in Figma, whether that's just designing how your website might look, so that you have a clickable prototype that acts like, and then start applying in parallel, build the website.
Yes.
I think so. All signs point to build a website, but if you want to take the iterative approach and not spend weeks and months getting that final thing, my suggestion is always get something out, start applying, and while also building the full-fledged thing or the desired outcome.
I kind of agree, but I also feel slightly different, maybe about the order of doing this, because I think your website, I mean, it's, I think, a good idea to get on day one, like the moment you listen to this, get your own domain, hopefully a .com domain if you can. And all you have to do is put your name on it, what you do and what you're looking for, plus a button to send you an email. It's basically just a business card, name, role, contact info. And that means, congratulations, you have an online presence. When you're there, people can, yes, people can find you. And then in parallel, work on your Figma skills and the design, and then you can port it over. And of course, but maybe it's more of an addition to what you're saying. Get that domain today. I think that's very important.
Maybe to add on to that specific piece, hook back to what you said earlier. What if they're on mobile? A strategy might be to quickly launch that webpage with a book me now, but also have a link to your Figma portfolio, one for desktop, one for mobile, optimized for both. If you quickly want to get something out as an idea.
Oh, that's interesting, because you can you can code it in a way on the website that each link only displays on a certain viewport, certain breakpoint.
Yes. I think that's a quick ChatGPT way of spitting out that code for you.
It's very silly because you say a quick chat GPT away, and that's true. While and this really shows my age, but I still know how to do it by hand, even though I would probably not do that today anymore because we don't have to anymore. But anyway, not important. Another thing for Lorik that I really noticed is like I have one of his Figma files open, and I'm not sure if we ever discussed this. If not, very curious what you think. But I think designers can be way stronger in their language. So what I'm looking at now is an internship assignment. It looks like it's been if I understand correctly, it's a test. Like, hey, do this thing for us. It's more like a assignment you have to do at home as part of the interview. Direct quote from his text is, through visual design, my aim was to capture user attention immediately upon landing on the page. I really think that my aim was, I want to, I like to, that I can, that type of language leaves the door open too much. I think you can be way stronger there by saying something like, through visual design, I captured the user attention immediately, instead of my aim was to.
Yes.
What do you think there about your writing style? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the first one is a bit of like weak language. You need to be confident. You're pitching yourself to the hiring manager. You need to be confident in that in that language as well. So it's not I can, or it's I designed. Our goal is to, like, we deployed ourselves, to use military language. But yes, 100%. You should have it. We have to be strong and then be confident in the work that you're presenting, because the work you're presenting was the outcome of your work and you're tied to it.
Yeah. If you continue his text, he says the chosen colors reflect the brand's identity while also highlighting, etc., etc., etc. I would say something like, I've picked colors that reflect. Makes it more obvious, like, this is what I do, this is what I can do, I think about these things. A quirk or a pet peeve of mine is I don't like the appositive sentence structure. It looks very formal, like a press release, where you say every visual choice is intentional, comma, verb, guiding users towards the desired outcomes. That's something, to me, it's worse than the M dash, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm aware that it's a pet peeve of mine. Like, maybe it's just me, but whenever I instruct an AI to help me write something, I always instruct, do not use the appositive sentence structure. I really want to get it out of the way. I think it's super default, super standard. Everyone's doing it. So I don't even care that it's because of AI per se, but I'm more concerned that it's like everyone else, and that's no way to stand out.
Actually, if you're open to it, would you mind sharing your screen? I can always be very descriptive for our audio listeners.
Yes. Well, we're going to be descriptive for people in Apple Podcasts and Spotify and these kind of things. But then for YouTube, we can show people.
Absolutely. And to your point about that copy, I think, like, stuck to brand, yes, but you have to speak to what the current situation is and what you deployed. You might construct that, like, lack of brand consistency contributed to current state. I deployed a consistent plan across all touch points, 2. And then the outcome. Okay, great. Yeah. Let's take a look at this.
So this is his file, and the thing we just spoke about last few minutes is this bottom part here. So here you can see my aim was to, etc. For people listening, we're just browsing a Figma file, and the text we are discussing is, I think, annotation, guiding text where he explains what he's done in the frames to the left of it.
Yes. Okay. Now that I see it, quick thing here. When you're setting up, or if you're leveraging a Figma file to kind of go through a presentation, just be aware that people are reading from left to right. So if I'm looking at this file, how it's constructed currently, we see the design on the left, both desktop and mobile. And on the right, there's the description or annotation. I would, as a quick win, place that to the left so that we're giving the best chance to the reader, not just skip directly to the design. So they're properly getting the context.
Yeah. And then also when you share the link, make sure you select this text if you want it to be the first thing people see, because then it brings you directly towards it. Do you feel like we should go into the UI hard skills, or do you think if someone's looking for a job, it's more about presentation and soft skills?
I think it's both. I think we can always get better at UI stuff, but presentation is number one. How you set up and present or communicate. So it's a bit of both, but I think it would be good to start with how we communicate and present our work.
Okay. I mean, it's solid advice from you already to have to keep in mind the structure of the file. At the same time, I'm also thinking if you know this will be a file you present, you should probably hide your components on a separate page.
Yes.
And when you know it's going to be presented, you should probably, and cannot believe I'm saying this, but you should name your layers.
Yes. The one time where naming your layers is super important.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I never do, but if I know it's going to be presented, I will.
Yes. You can communicate to the hiring manager that you are super detail oriented in naming and that's conveyed through the naming of your layers. When you're on the job, that could be a different story. Who really cares?
Yeah.
But if you're sharing this piece of this asset, I would name the layers for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's silly, right? Actually, I mean, I agree, but you are presenting yourself in a way, just to be better, but you already know that it's not something you're going to do on the job. So it's super silly that we have to do that, but it's how it is.
100%. And if you wanted to be more specific, you can probably create different pages. So sharing a Figma file works in two ways. It's one, you're presenting your ideas, and two, it also shows you how you organize your, how you work like in Figma. So you should probably have pages dedicated to different spaces if you're allowing them to navigate. So number one is they're going to be landing on this presentation layer, and then you can move your components to a separate page. So you're showing how you would construct or design a design system around creating this new website.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm thinking about some of my bigger projects, then I have multiple pages. I have a components page, a guidelines page. They're all very much at the bottom of the list because you do not go there too often. And then a page per feature. But again, that's personal preference. If I would present something, I would really make, a dedicated page. So yeah, +1 on what you're saying. If I switch to this project, can you see it still?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I know I've used used the right settings. One thing I noticed, if you want to go into the design UI's hard skills, is that I'm really strict on layout and grids. So what I see here is that there's 9 pixels between label and then the input field, and 30 for this icon above and below, 26 to the right, and then over here it's 29, and then it's 11 above. So I'm talking about 11 and 9 and 26 and 30. Like it's not very consistent. People don't really notice. But if a designer is reviewing this, the designer will probably say like, hey, there's no real structure here. And that's not only designers being very elite, like, look at me, I'm a designer, I use a grid, but it's also good for a non-designer to see that if you would use a grid, it's way easier for a developer to implement, because
100%.
Some of the big CSS frameworks, like Tailwind and Bootstrap, they all use a 4 pixel or an 8 pixel multiple grid. So 4, 8, 12, 16, etc. Like you said before, being detail oriented, that's important here too. It shows that you design something in a way that a developer doesn't have any extra work just to understand it and to prep it, So for your website, if you were going to create a website, I would clean this up. Bring everything to its nearest neighbor. If you use multiples of 8, so wherever you use 11, change it to 12. Wherever you use 9, use 8, etc. And that will make a massive difference in how professional the design looks. Like if I could change only one thing about any random landing page, I would always go layout first, because it makes everything so much easier to read and digest.
100%. Use the 4 or 8 pixel grid, please, which is the designer's Fibonacci sequence, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
One thing I would call out as well, I see a lot of placeholder or ghost UI. This goes back to something that I think is super important. I think back in the day, which I think we're moving away from, we used a lot of lorem ipsum. So it's, let's focus on the design and then we'll put some placeholder text. We, as designers, have a bit more ownership, or we should have more ownership on the copy as well, because copy is super important, to my earlier point.
Yeah.
Put in the copy, don't leave anything to imagination. You're designing the experience of this website. Copy is part of that experience as well.
Yes.
That goes along with placeholder text for the inputs that I see here on the page. What might the drop downs look like? Super important.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I see. Yes, you can design well, but copy is part of that. Your design is facilitating an understanding of a product or service. That's super important.
Yes.
Additionally,
yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Additionally, I'm seeing, so this is a shop experience. So it's, I can't read the text here, but I'm assuming this is for people who are rescuing pets or dogs in this case. And I see where you can kind of filter by, I guess, breed, but I see the images, they're repeated. I would make this more realistic. It goes on the same lines as the copy. If we're featuring a filter or search results, I should be able to see not the same dog with the same name, with descriptors. So if I'm looking for a dog and I see this card layout, I am not just looking as a user or a person looking to adopt at the person's name. I'm looking at the breed, the age of the dog, maybe their story or a snippet of that story, which will lead me to click on that card, which will send me to, I imagine, the details page.
Yes. Yes. One thing to help here, and I have an example right away, is I think that there isn't really any AI help that's super, how should I say this? There's a lot of AI help everywhere, but in terms of UI design, I think it's still pretty basic. But one place that AI will be really helpful for you is creating placeholder names. Placeholder images of dogs. Like, I'm a useless tidbit for this part of the show, but I'm a cat person, so I don't know much about dogs.
Same.
But if I would, well, nice. That's why we're so good friends, I guess. What I think is really helpful here, or what I would do is, ask one of your AI tools of choice, like, hey, give me 6 dog breeds that I can use in a mockup. Example is that I just took a picture of the filters to the left, and it turns out it's Albanian for breed, race, color, age, and name. So you were on the right track there. I think for this footer here, where you have I think you call it Ghost UI. So for people who aren't able to see this, there are, instead of words, there are lines, horizontal lines. There's no excuse, I think, today to put this type of placeholder in. Like it's super easy to create anything random. Like, hey, give me the structure of a footer menu on a dog rescue website. It's called Future Rescue. Challenging word for me. Yeah, I mean, that's way better. And I think another bonus point is you make it clickable. You have a few pages here already. The filter page, main page, detail page. Make it clickable. Just drag around a few of the blue lines in Figma, and potentially record a video where you explain it. I mean, that will make your case way stronger.
100%. And then one additional thing I would say for this. So this is a website. It may seem standard, like use cases specific to a rescue, but essentially it's a e-commerce shop for dogs. I think it's important to map out the entire journey. So not just what it looks like, but also what are the different edge cases or flows therein. So you're coming to this website, you're looking to rescue a dog, you select one. What happens after you select? You want to inquire about a dog. Does it send you to a form? What happens after you submit the form? Do you receive an email? What's the consequence of any of these actions? I would love that mapped out in like some kind of flow chart.
Yes.
Appended with these designs as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the key here. Like if you share a case study, really think it through and do more than the things you would see on Dribble and Contra and all these places where it's all happy flow.
Yep.
A few disconnected random screens. I mean, that's what everyone's doing. But if you do slightly more, everything you're saying, that will really help you stand out. So, let's summarize for Lorik. A few things for him to do. Create a website right away. I think that's key. Do all the things Tyler just said around case study. So really flesh it out. Have all the steps, make it clickable. And then a few of the AI tips and tricks for dog breeds and images and that kind of stuff. What else? Did we mention anything else?
I think packaging, annotation on the left, organize your Figma file in the proper way, have the different pages, move your components to the components page. If you want someone to know that, name your layers correctly. You can not name them on the job if you want, but when you're presenting, please name your layers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very solid package for him to hopefully it's going to help him, which will bring us also to the next step, which is, what if he wants to move from Kosovo to another place, which is the topic of the next episode.
Great. We'll see you on that next episode. That was a great episode. So if you like this content and want to hear more, please like and subscribe.
Yeah. And if you want to see more, please go to designtablepodcast.com, Spotify, Apple Music, all the big players and more.